Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Barakahak Wadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. Shalom. This is the brother Ra'aya coming at you with another lesson, and I'm going to start it off in Habakkuk chapter 2, verses 1 to 3. I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And Yahweh answered me and said, Write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. And the prophets of Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai from the past all the way up until today have been standing upon their watch, watching the news and lining it up with the scriptures to go out and preach this word. As it said, write the vision and make it plain upon the tables, which this vision was first written down in the scriptures. And now, with the prophets being back in the last days, seeing, these end times prophecies that were written about in the past, they are plain upon the tables. So they're being preached in that much more accuracy and clarity, that he may run that readeth it. The elect that hear these words, see these things coming to pass and are doing whatever they can to stay in the good graces of their power, Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, so they can be protected from the great and terrible judgments of Jacob's trouble, which are quickly coming our way. Verse 3, For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. And every single prophecy in these scriptures will come to pass. And though it tarries, what? Wait for it, because it will surely come to pass, and it will not tarry. And we can clearly see, those that the vision has been made plain upon the tables for, that these end times prophecies are quickly coming to their fulfillment and speeding up. And one of the major prophecies, the linchpin of prophecy that we're diligently waiting for, is the rollout and mandatory implementation of the mark of the BEAST in Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 to 18. And he causeth all, that he, being the elite rulers of the planet right now, who are of the nation of Esau, Edom, or the so-called white man, like the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and these other elite and banking families, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, everyone in society, to receive a MARK in their right hand or in their foreheads. And that MARK is the RFID/NFC micro C-hip implant, and that no man might buy or sell, also get a job, travel abroad, do anything in society, save he that had the MARK or the name of the BEAST or the number of his name. And in this lesson, I'm going to go into a few articles just showing that this prophecy is no longer tarrying, but quickly coming to pass, and we truly are in these appointed times. And the first article I'll be going to is on entrepreneur.com, cracking down on waste, fraud, and abuse. President Donald Trump is canceling paper checks. Here's what we know. President Donald Trump signed an executive order directing the Treasury to go digital first. Here's why and how it will affect future tax refunds. So, hey, ever since DJ Donald Trump, President Nero got into office, he's had the fastest hand in the West signing all these executive orders. And what have a lot of these things been pushing towards? Digital dollars, cryptocurrencies, and AI infrastructure. He signed that bill for $500 billion for Stargate to further set up AI infrastructure and build AI facilities around the country. And Elon Musk has talked about putting the US Treasury on blockchain. And Donald Trump has also said that he wants to make the US, I think the Bitcoin or cryptocurrency capital of the world. And as we're about to read in this article, he wants to get rid of paper checks. And, which we'll get into the next article, he wants to take pennies out of circulation. So what are we seeing? Physical currencies being taken out of circulation, which leaves what? Digital currencies, a pay contactless payment systems out here, which what it's ultimately leading towards is that MARK in Revelation 13, verses 16 to 17. It's called gradualism, or that parable of boiling the frog, where if you just throw a frog into hot water, he's going to immediately jump out. So you put him into warm water and incrementally increase the temperature so that before he knows it, he's boiled alive. And that's exactly what DJ Donald Trump, who's nothing more than a puppet of the elites, is doing to you people out here. And these elites have played the perfect hand by putting Donald Trump back into office because, a lot of these right-wing and conservative patriots who would have been against, these digital currencies and taking money out of circulation, if it was a Democrat doing it, are all on board with Donald Trump doing it because they think he's fighting the so-called deep state when he's just getting you deeper and deeper into the state. President Donald Trump signed an executive action this week directing the Treasury Department to phase out paper checks and use electronic payments instead. The presidential action, modernizing payments to and from America's bank account, stated that using paper-based payments leads to delays and risks of fraud. President Trump is cracking down on waste, fraud, and abuse in government by modernizing outdated paper-based payment systems that impose unnecessary costs, delays, and security risks. A fact sheet outlining the plan reads, the statement also noted that mail theft complaints are on the rise. In 2023, the U.S. Postal Service warned customers against sending checks in the mail due to rising fraud. And what's another example of physical objects being mailed having an issue? So there needs to be a reckoning with it. The 2020 elections with those mail-in ballots, which President Trump was heavily against and said that was the reason the election was stolen from him. But hey, everything perfectly plays into the ultimate goal, taking away you people's rights and further getting you locked into the grid. What payments does the executive order affect? The Treasury was directed to cease issuing paper checks for all federal disbursements, which means all government payments, including intragovernmental, benefits, and vendors. It also includes tax refunds. Payments will instead be issued by direct deposits, debit and credit card payments, digital wallets, and other modern electronic payment options, which for a lot of people now, they already use direct deposits, debit, and credit card payment systems. And, digital wallets are going to become more prevalent. And, before you know it, the system is going to be completely digital and contactless. And it's going to be too late for you people to go back because there's going to be nothing to fall back on. No paper checks. And as we're about to go into in the next article, no pennies, nickels, or any other physical currencies. And this is an article from the NewYorkTimes.com. So you want to get rid of the penny? Do you have a plan for the nickel? President Trump's plan to eliminate the penny could save the government money, but there's no guarantee. President Trump recently ordered the U.S. Mint to stop producing pennies for a simple sounding reason. Each penny, he said, has literally cost us more than 2 cents. He's right. Since 2006, the government has spent more money minting pennies than those pennies have been worth. And this whole system from its inception has been designed to what? Be inefficient and have a need for change and to squeeze the people out here so they'll be asking for that change. The production cost of coins can be confusing. A nickel is worth half as much as a dime, but costs twice as much to mint. A penny, which used to cost less than 1 cent to make, now costs 3.7 in 2011. A quarter was cheaper to make than a nickel. Today, the two coins cost about the same. It's almost impossible to meaningfully lower the costs of coin production. If savings is the top priority, stopping production altogether is the only real option for the simple reason that production costs are tied to the prices of specific materials, mostly zinc for pennies, mostly copper for nickels. Rhett Jepsen, a former chief executive of the U.S. Mint, said he saw some interesting proposals in his time there, including the idea of making pennies out of plastic, but nothing that could be put into practice. Unless we forget, Trump is threatening and using sanctions and tariffs on a lot of different countries right now, even U.S. allies. So if they fall on these different materials to make, these different coins and other things, that's just going to further incentivize the need to take them out of circulation and move us towards a digital system. Since pennies are a clear money loser, it seems straightforward to think that getting rid of the penny would save taxpayers money, but it's not that simple. Here we explore potential consequences of 4 choices. And I'm going to jump around a bit to get to the main point. Option number 2, stop minting the penny. If the mint did stop minting pennies, it would save about $85 million a year. Unfortunately, it would then have bigger and more expensive problems. The nickel. So hey, it's not just going to start at the penny. It's not just going to start and end at paper checks. The nickel's going to become the next problem. Then who's to say the dime, the quarter, and ultimately the U.S. dollar? Donald Trump said he wants to make the U.S. the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency capital of the world. And then I did a lesson maybe about a couple of weeks or a month ago talking about, the push for a digital currency, a digital dollar specifically, and, regulations on CBDCs showing that that's the direction they want to move in. If you get rid of the penny, it will increase the amount of nickels, Mr. Jepsen said, and you lose more on a nickel than you do on a penny. It's unclear exactly how high demand would be for nickels in a penniless world, but it's likely that it would be higher than today, and given their expense, it's possible those costs could eventually swallow up any savings gained by eliminating the penny. Option 3, stop minting both the penny and the nickel. A penniless and nickelless world would leave the United States with only two coins in wide circulation, dimes and quarters, that would make the US quite an outlier among its peer countries, which have five: Canada, six for Japan, six for Australia, or eight for the Eurozone. Having just two coins could hasten a trend away from physical currency. Also taking out paper checks that is already underway. In 2016, a Federal Reserve study estimated that cash was used for 31% of all payments. In 2023, the Fed's estimate for percentage of cash payments declined to 16%. And during 2019 to 2021, what did we see? Less and less use of physical currency, because it was said that the stuff traveled on physical currency. So we had to take it out of circulation to keep people healthy. And then you saw a push for social spacing, contactless payments, QR codes, and people doing everything on their phones. Further getting you people acclimated like that boiling frog to this digital prison they're building around you. Option 4, the ultimate option: no more coins. If recent trends continue, the quarter and the dime could cross from money making to money losing in the next 10 to 20 years. At that point, there would be a strong case to stop circulating essentially all coins. So first we're talking about pennies, now we're talking about nickels, talking about dimes and quarters, and then eventually nothing at all. That's pretty much it with this article. You get the point. But as we can see, with current trends, things are moving away from physical currencies, physical checks, or anything like that, but towards what? Digital currencies, digital wallets, everything being electronic in the palm of your hand. First with the phone, and then literally being in your body. And with the way Donald Trump's moving, he could very well be that cruel Lord in Isaiah chapter 19 and verse 4. And the Egyptians, and this is speaking about the spiritual Egyptians as pursuant to Revelation 11 verse 8, the United States of America, chiefly these Edomites. And the Egyptians, the Americans, will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord, Yahweh of hosts. And when we look at the couple of months that Donald Trump has been in office, he's been moving very fiercely. Doge has been getting rid of different agencies and laying people off. And Donald Trump has been signing executive orders to do what? Further take away benefits and jobs from the people. He recently signed an executive order to plan on taking away collective bargaining rights from unions for federal workers. You've got all these situations taking place with these DEI, or diversity, equity, and inclusion programs being taken away. And then also with these migrants, there's that self-deport order that's gone out to where, and it's specifically who, people from the islands of Central and South America, which are Israelites. You've got a certain amount of time to self-deport yourself, or we're going to forcefully deport yourself. A lot of these people have permits and statuses to be here. And, information has come out that, a few Venezuelans who have been deported to hardcore prisons in El Salvador for having criminal records didn't even have criminal records. So Donald Trump is just moving very fiercely all across the board. And again, he could very well be that cruel Lord set over Egypt. And as we read in those articles, what things are moving towards that cashless society and these digital wallets and digital currencies, and ultimately that mark of the BEAST, to where you won't be able to buy or sell or do anything in society without it. And eventually you will be faced with being deleted from society if you don't have it. Which, let's go back to Revelation 13 verse 15. And he, again being the elites, had power to give life unto the image of the BEAST. And the image is the financial, political, and military aspects of this system we're currently living in. The iron toes mixed with miry clay in Daniel chapter 2, the reincarnated Roman Empire, this NATO EU system that the US is a part of and at the head of, that the image of the BEAST should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the BEAST, which that mark is going to be a chief aspect of the image, should be killed. Socially killed from society. You'll be a pariah since you can't get a job, buy a house, or travel without it, and then eventually being faced with that physical deletion. But now I'm going to close it out in Revelation chapter 12, verse 12. Remember, back in Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3, though it tarry, wait for it will surely come, it will not tarry. Therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, destruction, judgment, for the devil, that deceiver, Esau, Edom, specifically the elites, is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. Hey, this devil is no longer tarrying, because these prophecies are no longer tarrying. These elites see that Israel is waking up and calling back on their power, and they see that the prophets are out on the highways and byways preaching, and they know that when those things take place, whatever heathen nation that's ruling at the time is going to be taken out of power. So they are pulling out all the stops to go full speed ahead for their NWO, that fourth industrial revolution, that great RESET, which involves what? 15-minute cities, blockchains, digital currencies, and, eating the bugs. Hence why you see Donald Trump moving quickly with AI and digital currencies to move you people towards that end goal. But that's it with this video. With this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong, as we can clearly see we are almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharallah, and until next time, Shalom.